Hi, I'm Aisha.
Hey, I'm Jasmine.
What's up? It's 1228.
And we're IJT Productions.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another video by IJT Productions. And today we got something special that we're going to talk about. I got the wonderful Aisha and I got the wonderful Jasmine in the building today. And I'm just here, the T, the IJT, we just here, we chilling. And today we just want to talk about loneliness versus being lonely. Like, is that a thing, right? So Jazz, I'm gonna kick it to Jazz. Like Jazz, you know, you brought this conversation up. So where was your head at when you
Wow.
wanted to?
I can't stand him. All right.
But I can't. You know what I'm saying? What I say?
Actually, well, it's actually alone versus being lonely.
Got it. So
And
there we go. I went to public school. I apologize. I went to public school. So let me start again. So
it's okay.
being alone, right, versus being lonely. What is the difference between the two? Take it away, Jack.
Well, alone is, well, they both adjectives, right? So alone is more so like you're like by himself or by yourself, like you're alone. But when you're alone, you're by yourself. But you could also, just have a form of like people around you, but you're still alone in your like space, but you're yourself. But loneliness is abandonment. It's like you're basically caught off guard, when you're lonely and you're like by yourself. And it's really hard for someone to like anybody just can't fill that void. I mean, just what I think. Because usually, when you're lonely, it's because you don't have that special person or that significant other who is that fills in that gap for you, like I know that I'm not alone because I have you guys, like I'm not alone. But I could be alone like in my room because I'm just by myself in that particular moment. But the loneliness is, for example, I don't have a partner, so I could feel lonely being alone by myself or something like that. So that's pretty much like what it is. But I just wanted to know you guys' take on it and what do you think about it?
Yeah, so I definitely like I can see the difference between those two words because if you just say them, it
Mhm.
kind of can sound like the same exact thing. So I know for me personally, like I am alone as far as my lifestyle, you know, and family, like, in regards to family, things like that. But I don't feel lonely because I can I can always I believe in self-love, and I believe in being strong within yourself first
Mhm.
and then like allowing other people to come into your life to enhance that. So for me, I think like I'll give an example of where I would be considered alone, right? So I'm vegan, right? So like when I go to family events, they're not vegan. So most of the time it's kind of like they're having their type of food that they like to enjoy. But me, I would be lonely because there wasn't anybody thinking about like, what can he eat to enjoy and be able to fellowship with us. But I understand that like instead of feeling sad about it, like now I kind of embrace the being unique. So that's
Mhm.
an example I can say like when you're around people and you have a different thought process, you
Mhm.
can feel like you're lonely because it's like, wow, I have nobody that I can relate to. Like everybody else is having fun, everybody's doing their thing, but I'm just the outcast in a way. So I can totally understand that. So yeah, so it's definitely a difference. But I think, like I said, like the best way to um, you know, to respond to that, in my opinion, is to be able to be alone and be healthy alone, not isolated in a negative way, but be alone and be strong in being alone and who you are as a person and what makes you different. And then you can also allow others to be around you. And that doesn't really dictate who you are or who you aren't. Like you are who you are, regardless of where you go. So I'm gonna pass it to Aisha. What you thinking over there?
For me, I would say that with the alone, like Jasmine said it, like the physical part, I have no problems with being alone. I know I used to when I was a kid because I had that whole like I'm the baby and I'm spoiled and it's me time and all that stuff. And growing up, like, if you're like bullied and things like that, you were like forced to be alone because people, I don't want you disturbing my peace. As a kid, but I don't have a problem with that growing up now. Like I appreciate being alone and having space and like quiet time and things like that with myself because I could have fun by myself alone before I couldn't, but I can't. But with the loneliness part, it's more like Jasmine was saying, like physical loneliness, like might not having a partner, so you might not feel like to your full potential, or you might feel inadequate about things, or like it could be a sign of like how could you put it, even be with a group of people and like psychologically feeling like you're by yourself. That part is kind of scary because you don't feel like you fit anywhere. So that can lead to some other things, if like mental health or things of that nature that you might want to get checked out. But I wouldn't encourage anybody because you feel that way to find that like validation of being around people for you. You would have to seek, if it's like very severe and like critical, I would recommend or encourage anybody to seek like mental health or like prayer or anything like that. But I understand the struggle of being someone who is practicing abstaining, practicing the weight. It feels like that when you're dating. Like I know 12 you mentioned the whole vegan thing, but when you're abstaining and you're dating, people are like, well, what are you doing? Because those men don't exist. So it's like discouragement kicks in. It's like, what's the point? But when you worship and you know who you belong to, and where you put your faith in, that helps change, and you find community because we do not grow in isolation. We grow in community and things like that. So I definitely understand the alone but not lonely part. So that is something where I have no problem with people who also say like, they need people around. That's great for you. But I'm the type who can have both. I could thrive by myself. I could thrive with people. I like people, so yeah. But I also have that time where I step back. So
I hope you like us. Um,
Word, right?
no, but this is good because I was a part of a divorced women's group,
mm,
um, and it was a difficult transition because it's a state of shock because one minute like you have a marriage and the next minute you don't, and your marriage is put to death. So it's really like experiencing death because it really catches you off guard, and that's the first time that I ever felt like severe, like, wow, this emotion. And that's what comes with loneliness. It's a sad emotion, that takes over. And like Ishi said, sometimes I'm okay with being alone, like in my room. I want to watch TV over there, do my hair, look at YouTube videos, practice singing. Like, I love those alone times. But when I think of like when I was in my, divorce group and we were talking, a lot of the women just brought up the loneliness factor. Like, there's a difference from being alone versus loneliness, and it was hard to recuperate. And the thing is, I would see the women cry because at first, like, I was still in a state of shock, but I would see them crying. I'm like, well, why I'm not crying like them, like, and it's because like they felt that emotion, and it took me a while to feel that. And I recently started feeling that way of, wow, like, you know it's hard, just like Ichi said, like when you want to change your life and do something that's different, and you know um go abstaining, or like, and you see everybody else like dating and doing things and just doing what they want, and I'm not saying that it's following God is like boring and it's sad or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying at all, but it's just more so that you know, it's hard, you know, it could get difficult and it could feel lonely sometimes, you know. And I think for me is just, you know, what Ishi shared is the the loneliness part is just being together with a group of people that you could be open with, that you could talk to help you with those situations, because you know mental health is real, you know, because we have those strong emotions, and sometimes those things could lead to trauma, and you know, like your mind could be you know, all over the place. But you know, when you want to, you know, overcome that loneliness, you have to make sure that it's coming from a place that is not chasing after, you know, happiness or selfish reasons, but it comes from a place where you can have a peace of mind and have balance, you know, in your life, you know. So that's
Yeah,
why,
I
you know,
told.
it's important to me.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, Jazz, because like what I think about too sometimes, like some people intentionally close themselves off because like they don't want to associate with people, and or they have different demons that they may be dealing with. So for whatever reason, and that goes into the mental health thing, for whatever reason, they kind of isolate themselves, right? And you know, we're human beings are like social animals in a sense. Like, yes, we can be independent and we can, you know, we can do our own things, but naturally, like, you know, we want to socialize as well. Like, you know, we can, it's about having that balance. Like, you don't want to be too dependent on either side. Like, you don't want to be too independent to where you don't associate with anybody, you don't interact with nobody. But then you will also want to be all the way on the other side where you only can thrive when you have people around you. So it's about finding that balance. So I
Mhm.
know for me, like I think of myself as an introverted extrovert. So I have my days where I don't want to be outside, I don't want to be bothered, I don't want to talk to anybody. Then I
Mm,
have my days where I can switch the put the switch on, and when I'm around family, friends, and things like that, I can socialize. I could let my hair down. I could laugh, joke, interact with people, and not have a problem. So I learned that you have to have the balance so that you don't just lean too much on either side. You always have to be balanced in all things, because if you put too much energy and focus on one thing, then something is gonna lack. So it's about having balance. So I think now, like when I have relationships, I try to make sure that like, you know, I check in with people, you
Mhm.
know, like when I notice people get distant, or, you know, even if it's not distance, just checking in and asking people like, how are you? Because naturally we usually just say, oh, I'm good, everything's okay. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's like, but how are you for real? You know,
yeah,
Mhm.
fine
because
is
you
not an actual it's
Mhm.
not an emotion, it's not a feeling. Like I'm fine,
Mhm.
you know.
right. Yeah, or good, everything's good. Or how's your day? Good. But it's like, it's all right if your day wasn't good. Like it's okay.
Mhm.
Like if you know, sometimes we have those interesting days where things don't go our way. So you know, it's important to check in. I feel, you know,
Mhm.
to make sure that the people that you you know you associate with and you have relationships with, you know, it's not your responsibility to give them happiness, but at
Mhm.
least you know you can let them know that you are there if they need to have a conversation about something, or even if they just need to vent, or they just need some assistance or whatever. Like, you know, we need to make sure that we check in on our loved ones, like, because you
Mhm.
just never know.
Right.
Yeah,
True.
you're right. You never know, you know, what people are going through, what they're experiencing and stuff. You know, that's why like going to that group like really, really opened my eyes, because I never thought about those two words before ever. Like I wouldn't think about it because I'm like, oh, this is just life, whatever, you know. But it's a real thing and it's a real feeling, you know. So definitely love
Well,
this conversation.
oh yeah. So, um, you know, we would love to hear what you guys think. You know, what is your definitions of being alone versus loneliness? Like, what do you guys think? You know, leave it in the comments. Let us know. Meet us in the comment section, and we will see y'all in the next video.
Awesome.